would be a nice thing, but I'm one of those people that drill down. I've been described as an analytical analytic because I analyze things. I can't help it. Please forgive me. I know it may be irritating and annoying, but I do it. So, feeling grateful, right? So all these things that are feelings, I'm feeling blessed. I'm feeling grateful. I'm feeling thankful. I'm feeling stress. I'm feeling. So when you're feeling grateful, or when you're let's take blessed, because that's very common. You see that a lot, don't you know? You know, I think it's a really hip thing to say. How are you? Oh, I'm feeling blessed. Oh, okay. So let's get personal with it. We have a tendency to become a little impersonal. Those of us who are trapped in this material world, in these material bodies, we came here to get away from Krishna. We came here to get away from the Supreme because we want to do all we can do. We want to be all we can be on our own without him. Doesn't mean we're bad. It just means we had one of those dumb moments. You know, we made a mistake. We tried to get away from the absolute source of everything, which you can't even do. We're going to establish that point. You can't even get away from this guy that we all want to get away from. It's not even possible, because the definition of God, I think the most proper would be that from which everything emanates, or the source of all sources. But we tend to be a little impersonal because we came to this material world trying to dodge any personal interaction with this personality, this supreme personality. You see, when we become spiritual, then we recognize there's something greater than us, right? I mean, I recognize there's something greater than me, but I'm part of it. I mean, I'm like, it's me too, you know, but I'm part of the greater good. I'm part of the universe. You see, we like to impersonalize it. See what the universe has planned for you. What do you think Saturn has planned for you today, Karunga Prem?
I don't know if I understand. It's a bunch of karma, no?
I mean, you know, the universe is just a bunch of planets, which are just big rocks. And so, but we feel like there's some power coming from there. Well, there is, but that's not the source. Jupiter's not the source of any power. Maybe it has some gravity. You know, it might give off some. But I mean, come on. You're going to ask Jupiter, hey, Jupiter, can you help me out? I'm feeling stressed today. You know, Jupiter's going to look at you and reply like, you know, like nothing. So maybe if you throw in another planet, let's throw in Saturn as well, and maybe even Mars. Can you help me? Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, I'm feeling kind of stressed out today. Probably not. And you know what? We're intelligent enough to know that. Why then do we do it? Everybody that does that, everybody that says that, you know, you put it out to the universe, see what the universe, everybody that says that is smart enough and intelligent enough to know that you're talking about a whole bunch of rocks out there. You see, we're kind of afraid to give this higher power, we're kind of shy to give it a personality. We want it to be something that cannot be explained. You know, we want it to remain that way. But yet let it give me stuff. Let the universe help me with my stress, or let the universe help me with this or help me with that. You see? But I don't want it to have a face or a personality. I just want it to help me out here. See? So this is nature of impersonalism. We know that there's a higher power, but yet we recognize some of the symptoms of this higher power as the higher power. Because we really, it doesn't mean we're bad, it just means that we're really shy to get close to this supreme entity, this supreme personality. Now that's intelligent because you don't know anything about it. And that's why you try to make it into a universe or some other power. You try to make it into something because you don't know anything about it. You just know it's supreme. It's the source. But a lot of people there, they'll say, they don't even say the source, they just say source. You got to see what source has a plan for me today. All right, so you're giving it a personality, kind of, but it's still an it. You see, it's kind of scary to get kind of warm and fuzzy with this supreme personality. Huh? Some people want to argue, well, the supreme doesn't really have a personality. Supreme is the source of everything, yes. I think everybody will agree to that. Source is the source of everything. So there is, I've never found anybody that can prove this wrong, but there is personality, right, in this world. You got one. I think I have one. You see? So if there is personality, then source must have personality for it to give you your personality. Yes? This is just simple math here. So wait a minute. Now we've established that this supreme source has a personality. So now that's a little scary because I need to kind of get on the good side of this all powerful source. You see, I can't just I can't ignore it anymore. So this is like advancing in spiritual life. In the beginning, I recognized there is a higher force. I recognize that. So I'm separating myself from the atheists. I'm a theist. The atheist may say there is no such thing as God. I'm saying, yeah, there is, but it's just the all everything. So yeah, I'm admitting there's a higher force, but I'm not eliminating the fact that I might be that higher power. A lot of people think that. If I give it a personality, now it is the supreme and not me. So if I admit that you're supreme, I admit that you can beat me up. You have power over me. Well, that's kind of hard for us to do. We'd rather keep just some sort of a undetermined force. And then we can expect it to give us stuff. Is this making sense? So this is us being normal. We've been in this darkness of ignorance of God, ignorance of the Supreme, the ignorance of the Supreme Personality for billions and trillions of lifetimes. So now here we are, and we've stumbled across the secrets. Who is this guy? Is there really a personality? Well, there's got to be. We've established that. So if there is, maybe we should try to make a little peace with it, right? It's supreme. So let's find out a little bit about it. So, so this is interesting. Stop me at any time with any questions that you may have. So, many reasons why people would want to recognize the symptoms of the supreme as being the supreme, because it's easier. You see, you get a little taste of what is God, and that's enough. Let's just stop right there. So, but Krishna lays all this out in Bhagavad Gita. He makes it very clear. Krishna is trying so hard to connect with us. Krishna is trying so hard to touch your heart. I mean, this is all he's got to do, is to connect, reconnect with you. It's all he wants. He doesn't have to go to work tomorrow morning. He's got all night to connect with you. He wants so badly for you and him to get back on your loving platform. He's willing to do anything. So in Bhagavad Gita, the more we read Bhagavad Gita, the more we understand it. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tries real hard to tell you who I am. Here's how you can recognize me. He's really reaching out. I need you to recognize me. I want us back. There is an us between you and God. There's an us, and you should want that us back. So Krishna says, the 7th chapter, I'm going to read 3 verses, the 8th, 9th, and 10th verse, and we can discuss if you have any questions.
What chapter?
7th chapter. Krishna says, O son of Kunti, he's talking to Arjuna, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and the ability in man. So I'm giving you, Krishna is saying, I'm giving you symptoms of me that you can see, you can recognize. So it's like when you taste water, it's just like I've got this reverse osmosis filtration system that I bought when I moved into this condominium that I bought. And every so often it gets a little, the filters need to be clogged, not so good. So then you change the filters, you see, and you clean the whole thing out, and you test this fresh water, and it's like, wow, what a nice flavor. So if I've trained myself properly, that taste of water should remind me of my dear friend Krishna. It should remind me of whatever deity is in your heart at the moment. Madhava in Mayapur, you see, Shamsundar in Vrindavan, somewhere you should see that face. You taste the water. Krishna says, I'm the taste of water. Now, he's not talking about water that's got a little sugar mixed in with it or a little masala. In Vrindavan, they have this masala that you can put in water. And who here knows what pani puri is? Yeah. So you know that water that they dip the pani puri in? Spicy water. You see, we're not talking that kind. We're talking about pure water. Just water. Krishna says when you taste that pure, sweet taste of water, that's me. He doesn't say it's like me. It should make you think about. He said, that is me. I am the taste of water. So then you're associating. This is easy to understand because everything comes from Krishna. Everything comes from the source. So yeah, if you get a hold of some sweet, pure water, that is Krishna. Now, if you become a personalist, when you taste that sweet water, you're going to see that beautiful face. You're going to think, Hare Krishna. You see, it should remind you of Krishna. So then when you're having one of those feeling moments and you're feeling grateful, or let's say you're feeling blessed, ask yourself, who am I grateful to? I want to say that whenever I see it on Facebook, people, I'm feeling blessed. To who? They're the rest of the story. I mean, this is like, going to a movie and leaving before the end, and you don't even know who did the the murderer or who did the robbery. No, this is the important part. I'm feeling blessed. By who? Personalize it. I'm feeling grateful. Because of who? Not what. Because if there's a what, I'm feeling grateful for what? Well, because I found $100 bill. I'm feeling grateful. To who? You see, personalize your life. You don't have to live in impersonalism. It's just a nasty habit that we've developed. And it's a hard one to kick. Krishna says, I'm the taste of water. I'm the light of the sun and the moon. We see the sun. We see the moon. That should make you see Krishna's face. You should think, it's you again. It's you, Krishna. You're still smiling at me. You're still following me. I haven't lost you yet. Krishna says, I am that light of the sun and the moon. I'm the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. Boy, here's one that I've been talking about for years. A lot of people like to chant Om, and that's wonderful. But as you advance in study of spiritual life, as you advance in the Vedas, you learn Om is the beginning. It's like being grateful and someone saying, to who? Well, I don't know. I'm feeling blessed. By who? Oh, I don't know. So what is Om? Om is the beginning of the Vedic mantras. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So when you vibrate that syllable Om, it's like you're saying, hey, Krishna, hey, you, I'm going to make a statement. I want you to hear me. It's like if I say, hey, Sean, and you say, yes. And then I say, oh, Sean, yes. Sean. Okay. Where are you going with this? I'm here already. So chanting Om, you get the attention of the Supreme, and then you don't have anything to say. Well, that's not even funny. That's not fair. Why would we do that? Because we don't know. We don't know. We don't mean anything. If he was standing beside you and you chanted Om, and he says, yeah, you go, wow. Yeah, you called me, so what's up? Or Krishna would probably be more cool than that. He'd say, what up? Yeah, what up? See? So we can personalize our feelings. We can. And we really, really should. It'll make us happier. It'll make Krishna even happier. We can do that. Remember, it's not hard. He's everything. Put a face with it. It's like sometimes somebody gives, we're in Mayapur and he would say, hey, do you know so-and-so? From this country or that country. And I'm like, that name sounds familiar, but I can't put a face with it. I can't personalize. I can't have a personal experience to go along with that name. I've got a block. Senior moment, you see. So put a face with the taste of water. This isn't hard to do. Put a face with the sun and the moon. You see the sun, say, Hare Krishna. This is you. You said it's you. Now, people could say, no, that sun is just a ball of fire up there. Oh, but the source of that is Krishna. And Krishna says, I am the sun and the moon. That's me. So I'm going to go on to another verse. Any questions before I move on? Comments? Yeah.
To some degree, like
we see that the planets are, but to another degree, they're also like considered personalities in Vedic religion, right? Like Brihaspati is Jupiter, Shukra is Venus, and they have some influence as demigods. Am I correct in that?
Yeah. Everything has a personality. We don't know that Earth is a personality. I mean, we say hip things like the Earth is a living entity, you know. All right, yes, that's true. But Mother Bhumi, that's her name, the planet Earth, has a personality, you see. We're guests. We don't own this planet. We don't own anything. We're just passing through. You know, the planet's going to be here a lot longer than we will. So yeah, they all have different personalities and they all have some influence. Good point. Just to make it even easier for you, the fragrance of the earth. And I am the heat in fire. I'm the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of the ascetics. So if you're doing some penance and austerity, Krishna says that is me. If you're having a fire yajna, fire sacrifice, Krishna says, I'm the fire. I'm the ghee that you put on the fire. I'm the butter. All of that is me. Not that you stop by saying, well, I worship the sun and the moon, or I worship the taste of water as God. No, don't stop there. You know, it's like if you're going to get married to somebody, you don't fall in love with their jacket, you know, or something that they created, like artwork. I mean, you love your husband's artwork, I'm sure, but you know that it comes from him. You know, your husband's artwork reminds you of your husband.
Right there, right?
I mean, you can't miss it. It's like, talk about in your face, huh? You see, so it's not like we have this relationship with this marvelous painting. We want to know the author. We really like the personality of the author, you see. So with that taste of pure water, we don't really want to do that. No, we go on. No, this is Krishna. Krishna says, I am the original fragrance of the earth. One of the things that practically every time I go to Mayapur, at some point there's going to be a day where I smell something that's coming out of the fields. You know, something that they've just harvested, or maybe there's been a light rain, you know. Anyway, do you know what I'm talking about? You get this smell that comes to you, and you can't identify what it is. It's just really, really wonderful. And when you smell that, I mean, it may be more difficult in the city, but immediately you should say, there you are. You've come and you've embraced me with this aroma. Krishna says, I am the original fragrance of the earth. Everything has a fragrance. Krishna says, I'm the original fragrance. So, I'm the heat and fire. When there's fire, that's Krishna. See, we can do this. We can let these things remind us of Krishna. We can personalize our feelings. When we're someplace where it's cold and somebody builds a fire, Krishna says, that's me. I am that fire. Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna.
Long time no see.
I know, it's good to see you.
We're talking about Krishna.
Surprise.
Surprise! Krishna says, I'm the life and all that lives, and I'm the penance of all ascetics. You know, Krishna, I'm the life and everything that lives. You find life, you found Krishna. He's the source of that life. Doesn't matter what body that life may be in at that particular time. That living entity, that life, is Krishna. So when you meet another living entity, that is Krishna. Now, they're not Krishna, but they are. They're part and parcel. And so are the rocks and stones. That's all Krishna too. Everything comes from Krishna. So we can understand when we read that a pure devotee of Krishna is always thinking of Krishna. Well, heck, everything is him. Everything reminds you of him. You can't go, you can't travel across the desert and get away from this guy. You know, you can and there he is. Wow, what is that aroma that I smell? Oh, this is you. You're here too. You see? So let me read one more verse and then we'll discuss. Pretty quiet crowd tonight. But you're here. You're here.
By you.
You're here, so that's about to change, isn't it?
Not yet.
Krishna says, "O son of Pritha, know that I am the original seed of all senses, the intelligent of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men and women." That tells us, whenever you do something and you feel like, wow, I did that. Didn't you just paint a van recently? You know, how did it turn out?
Pretty sweet.
Yeah. That should make you think of Krishna. You wanted to do it, he fulfilled it. You see? Did she help?
Yeah.
And it still turned out nice. Oh, that's. So whenever you feel like, wow, that was pretty good, you know, I hit the ball a long way, or I painted my van, or that tattoo that I did was really great. Where's that coming from? That ought to remind you of Krishna, your eternal partner. Krishna just wants you to realize that I'm here with you. You've come to the material world, escape me. But you can't do that. You can't. I've just allowed my illusion, my Maya, to make you believe that you got away from me. If we have any spiritual intelligence, spiritual knowledge at all, we could understand that. There's no getting away. So why not let's renew our partnership with Krishna. You do something good. If you feel grateful, point it towards him. Now, what if you're feeling kind of yucky, though? Should you blame that on him too? No, he probably didn't do anything to hurt you. I mean, maybe you ate too much, or you shouldn't have had that extra helping of lasagna, or those extra 10 globulins. Maybe you shouldn't have done that, so now you're feeling kind of rotten. You can't blame that on Krishna. You know,
He is the globulin.
he is the globulin. He's the sweet in the globulin. Especially when you offer them to him. Did you have a question?
I just wanted to make a comment. Just a reflection. Two things. One thing is, since we're talking about art, that reminds you of Krishna. I want to just point out that there's a beautiful new mural on the wall where we sit by Dr. Sean.
Hey.
And it's a beautiful, full life-size picture of Krishna in blue with a beautiful face.
Wow.
And so give a face to it. That was the big message here, because it was going to be faceless anyway. It's really beautiful picture. So that's one thing. And so you can think of Krishna, and you can think of Sean, and you can think of Sean's devotion to Krishna.
Well, they're partners. They work together.
But another thing, just reflecting that when you were speaking about these things in an order like that, in a succession, I was thinking that, and you mentioned running in the desert. I was thinking that we have to forget, we can't see like that if we want to function like a materialist, if we want to exploit. if you see everything as Krishna, you can't exploit things. It ruins the whole game for exploitation, trying to exploit and to use matter for our enjoyment. It takes it away. I thought of that verse in the Bhagavatam. It says that anything that you see of any value that you see that may be separate from me is actually just illusion. It's not, has no existence. And so when we think of the sun as relation to Krishna, the moon as relation to Krishna, the earth is relation to Krishna, then it's all real and we can use it for service. But if you see it without, none of it's even real. It's all an illusion. So.
And how can you exploit other living entities?
You can't. That's why Krishna has.
You have to have that veil of ignorance. What do we call it? You've got to have the wool pulled over your eyes so that you can take the supreme out of the picture. No personality involved. There's nobody watching, so I can cheat you. I can lie to you. I can manipulate you. Now, if I know that Krishna is like standing looking at me like, why are you doing this? I'm gonna, I thought I raised you better than that. Did your mother ever say that to you? My mother used to say that all the time. I thought I raised you better than that. Well, obviously not. Because here we are. But yeah, I mean, really, this is just logic. This isn't, you don't have to go meditate in the Himalayas for 1,000 years to get this knowledge. You already got this knowledge. We already know. As a God, and you are all his parts and parcels, then how can I cheat you? That's not a smart thing to do. If you find somebody that you know is loved by God and he loves everybody, and if you cheat them or cause them some difficulty, well, come on now, that's not going to come out good for you. Not that Krishna is going to beat you up or anything like that, but there will be some negative reaction. Most people call it karma. That's actually not karma, though. What is that? Huh? Vikarma. It doesn't, it's like Om. People say it, they don't even know what it really means. Karma, we say it, we don't know what it means. Karma means the result of pious activities. Then what is bad karma? There is bad karma. Well, that's called vikarma. That's the result of sinful activities. And then there is akarma. What is akarma?
No karma.
It means none. You do something, you don't get bad, you don't get good. You're off the hook. You can do without any reaction whatsoever. Then some people think, well, it's probably smarter to play it on the good side and want the good return. And that may work for you for a while, but ultimately you're going to lose that game. You're going to lose it because at the time of death, whatever karma you have, vikarma, karma, you have to return to accept it. You can't get away from it. It's like taxes. You have to pay them. There's no getting away. Death and taxes. So at the time of death, then if you've got a whole bunch of good karma, really great karma, you have to take birth. And you have to accept it. Well, that's good news, isn't it? I'm very attractive in a wealthy family, famous. I have fame. I have wealth, beauty, you see. So I want that, right? Well, probably, like most people, I'm going to screw that up. I'm going to use this influence that I have to cheat somebody or lie to someone, I'm going to get a little puffed up. So now I'm to accumulate vikarma. Oh, jeez. At the time of death, I have to come back and collect the vikarma. Boy, how do you win? Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Which one? Vikarma?
Both.
Karma, K.
Well, I know.
Yeah. Vikarma is Vikarma. That's the negative stuff. And then akarma. And in Sanskrit, a lot of times you drop the A at the end. So if you're saying karma, you can say, but if it's vikarma, typically it would be vikarm without the A. So akarma means nothing. I did an act and I get nothing good and I get nothing bad. So that's freedom. Now I'm freed from result. Well, that's the only way. That's the only freedom that you could possibly get in the material world, is to get free from results. Because everything we do has some result. Every thought we think has some reaction. So we're caught in this karmic world of action and reaction. And science even knows. Was it Isaac Newton, Sir Isaac Newton, for action? There's an equivalent. You know, even science knows this. I mean, even people in the hood, on the street, they say, hey, what goes around comes around. You know, it's not that they've got some big degree. They just got enough bruises to know. You see, this is basic knowledge. So what we're asking is that people come and help us and allow us to help you advance further in this knowledge, real knowledge, complete knowledge of who is God, what is spiritual life, what's it for? Is it just something that's kind of hip to talk about? If I talk enough hip stuff, I get to hang with a hip crowd. You know, that's the way it was in the hippie days. The people who looked more like a hippie and talked more like a hippie were considered cooler than everybody else. You see?
Isn't it because they were real within themselves? They didn't allow the restrictions of society to hold them in, wasn't it? Because they were the ones that made people come around and realize that spirituality started with you, and it's still growing and it's still getting bigger.
Well, if you look back through history is very interesting. You know, they say history repeats itself because it really does. Every younger generation, as far back as there is in recorded history, has done the same thing that the hippies were trying to make everybody believe they were doing. I was there. I was one of them.
I was there too.
You know, so we know.
Right.
But I mean, we're trying to. We're looking at and enjoy this material world, and to exploit all the resources, including the people that were here for my enjoyment.
But all those generations, you're right, I should shut up. Here I come. All those generations were trying to advance the teachings of love of Jesus, and they're still doing it. And you are just talking to us here and looking us in directions of love and light.
I would say there's a lot of people that are trying to do that, but typically people are looking to enjoy this material world.
You can still enjoy it, and so you enjoy it more when you give
But then, all right, but
light.
I understand what you're saying, but let's define what is enjoyment. When I'm enjoying,
Enjoyment is a peace within yourself that you are sharing a light that gathers others in it. That's enjoyment.
so what is that? Let's personalize that. What is this peace? See, as long as here's the problem that I have with a lot of modern day spiritualists is they stop right there. Wait a minute, hold on. They have this peace inside. All right, wait a minute. Give me more. Give me, it's like that you go to the doctor. The doctor, you know, I had to go to the heart doctor last summer. And so the doctor is like telling you, I've got this medicine for you. Well, I'm like, okay, dude, that's really cool. Are you going to give it to me? I mean, tell me something about it. What are the side effects? I mean, how much do I take? How often do I take? But if he just says, no, you'll be all right because I have this inner medicine for you.
Okay.
You know, get specific. When people
specific.
don't get specific, it's
That
because
light.
they just don't know. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That light inside of you primes you and gives you peace. Is when you connect in the spirituality of Krishna and it goes through you and you are one with it as often as most people think. And
I
every
agree.
generation that has come through has built that energy to a higher level. And we're going to have massive people right now having to go back to a higher level because everything is trying to dredge us down. We have, what was it?
What?
Anti what? We have that, but we don't. That energy, it's not, everything is source. Everything in creation, Brianna, everything in creation has connects to who created it, which is source.
Oh, no, I
which
agree
is
with that.
Krishna.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
agree.
we've had this conversation before.
Krishna says that again in these 3 verses. He says that. It's kind of like, it's like Krishna says, all right, let me make this easy for you. When you drink water, that taste is me. And you're like, oh, okay. All right, so when you see the sun and the moon, that's me. I'm just trying to make this easy
everything in
for you.
creation is you, and there comes a point when that peace comes inside of you, where you actually connect to all that energy at once, because we're always trying to separate. And when you have that peace and that light going through you, when you're bowing down to the light of everything that's around you, and it is bowing down to you, it is the biggest connection of source, which is Krishna. You know, so
Yeah, we've got to
that's
follow
where the
it.
peace comes in, and you try to follow it.
We've got to follow it follow the process all the way through. For it to work, we've got to add love.
That's it,
If-
right there.
There's no sense of even having a relationship with the Supreme if there's no love involved. Because if there isn't love, there's going to be fear.
Right.
And a lot of people, a lot of religions have exploited that.
Yeah.
You don't know what this creature is or what it's capable of, but you'd better do what I tell you to do.
I agree.
You know, well, let's just, if you read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, you read, nowhere does Krishna reveal such a personality. You see, he's just not that kind of guy. Yeah.
I'm changing the subject. Can you talk a little bit about how do we get to akarma?
Akarma.
Akarma.
I was going to say that and I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. Akarma means I do things, whatever I do, every thought that I think, every word that I say, every action that I do as an offering of love to Krishna. So I get no reaction, no material reaction from that. I make him happy. And it builds on my dormant relationship with him, which isn't gone. It's just become dormant. It's like right now, of course, this is doesn't apply so much here, but if you were like back in the eastern part of the United States right now, most of the grass is brown. It goes dormant as soon as the climate isn't healthy. The grass doesn't die, it just goes dormant, you see. So if we want the grass to turn green again and flourish, we have to change the environment, give it a favorable environment. So our love for Krishna isn't dead. It's not gone. It's just gone dormant. And if we want it to just take off again, we have to change the environment. We have to associate. Really, it's important who we associate with. Do you think so? It's very important. So who we associate with, what do we hear from them? Are they just going to bounce ideas that they've heard someplace off of us? Or are you going to associate with people who are going to say, right here, I can show you in Srimad Bhagavatam where Krishna says this? Well, no, that's real knowledge. We have to be careful of people who feel like, well, gee whiz, it ought to be. Well, no, it doesn't matter how it ought to be. None of that matters. I mean, it's just like, I was talking about the heart doctor. He just said, gee whiz, you ought to feel great. Well, tell me something true here, doctor. Give me something that I can really sink my teeth into. Give me some truth. Well, I just think you're going to be okay. Well, then you didn't run any tests. You were going to do that thingy with the thing on my heart. You didn't do that. Well, I just believe that that something within you is going to heal. You have the potency. We would have been out that door like in 2 seconds. It's like, all right, see you later. I'm looking for some real truth here. So, your life is on the line. So, with our spiritual life, why is that any less important than our material life? I don't want speculation. I don't want feel good, warm and fuzzy stuff. Krishna will make me feel good and warm and fuzzy, because my love for him will reawaken. Yeah.
What about the other thing doctors say? I've done all I can. The rest is up to God.
Yeah. He hasn't said that yet, that's going to come one of these days. He says, well, it's in God's hands. My dear doctor, it always was. Yes.
When you were speaking about how we depersonalize everything, so making God source or a feeling or the universe, then there's no expectation of reciprocity or relationship. I don't have a conversation with the ATM machine. When I stop and get my money, I just get my money. But if there's a teller there, there's expectation relationship. But do you think there's also a subtle thing going on there that we are also making ourselves to be God in that same move, because we're giving ourselves personality and all the attributes of personality, but we don't give those same attributes to the Lord. So there's a subtle way we're making ourselves God by depersonalizing.
That's the underlying difficulty that all or most of us suffer. We really think that we can do this God thing ourselves. We think that we can be independent. We came here to this material world to be independent from it. You see? So yeah, I want to. I haven't been able to prove it to the world yet that I'm God, but the world has not disproven it to me yet. So there's a chance. A lot of people feel that way.
We're often the energy of source. If we're all created out of source, and we all are in a form, in a way, gods. Because unless we separate from that.
Yeah. What we don't understand is the spiritual law of Achintya Beta Beta Tattva, which means in the material world, you have to be one thing or another. You got to be a Democrat or Republican, black, white, hot, cold, the dualities of the material world. In the spiritual world, you can be something can be simultaneously one and. So yes, I am God, but I'm not. No. But I am. I am nothing else, but yet I'm not. You see? So I am, and yet I'm not. He's still the reservoir. He's still Bhagawan. Bhagawan, that's a Sanskrit word that means one who is full in all opulences. One who has the most power, the most wealth, the most beauty, the most fame, most renown,
That's nature.
Well, we're talking the source of nature.
Same thing.
I don't think so. Think about what you just said. It's just like we're talking about this beautiful painting. This painting was painted by somebody that you know well.
Very well.
The painting is not Bala Gopinath. He's the source. You could say he's the source. But it's not him.
It is his energy. It's divine
Yeah.
given to him.
And yet,
divinely given to us.
and yet, it's not.
Right.
And yet it is.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely right.
You know? So long as if we take the personality out of source, then you're denying yourself the ability to love the source.
I'll be that.
You know, I mean, like somewhere out in the desert right now, there is a very beautiful rock. I've never seen it. I just believe that it's there. And I love it. No, I don't. I have no experience with it. How can we love the Supreme if we don't have any experience? Yeah, did you have a question? Let me get her first, because I don't want to listen to her mouth.
I really appreciate the distinction between the three potencies of the absolute Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. But sometimes I have trouble understanding the difference between specifically Brahman and Paramatma. But also I'd like to hear about all three. Could you explain?
Yeah. If you have the personal understanding, we've worked our way back up to the understanding that we've gotten covered over from the material energy to Bhagavan understanding. That understanding has the impersonal, Paramatma, impersonal, has it all, you see. So, but the light that's emanating from the spiritual world, it's a beautiful light. Many great yogis have seen that light, and they believe that's it. The total world. The covering of his spiritual world. Does that make any sense? And then Paramatma means the localized living entity, God, that's in your heart with you. Krishna doesn't, when we wanted to leave Krishna, he didn't want us to go. He can't bear the separation. He doesn't have to bear the separation. So he sneaks along with you. He's right next to us. The soul lives in the heart region of the body. And Paramatma, we're the Atma, he's the Paramatma. And he's with us because he wants to be with us. Bhagavan is realizing that supreme personality of Godhead. And so, once we realize Krishna on a personal basis, you don't really need any other understanding. It's all there, but none of that matters. You see? It's like, once you get to know somebody personally, then there's many details about their body you may not know about. You may not have to know their blood type. Well, I want to examine you and see what your inner corpuscles are doing right. No, we're focused on that personality. And all of the other things doesn't make any difference. Is that a good answer? It's a good question.
So, I guess on the topic of trying to appreciate, when I have water and remembering Krishna's water and trying to appreciate, is that would that be connecting with Paramatma, how Krishna is within every atom, or would that be?
You could, or you could connect with the direct personality of Krishna.
So that would
You taste the water, say the magic words. Thank you. Thank you. Krishna says, ignorance, and I am also forgetfulness. So when you're on your way to the car, you're on the way to leave the house, right? and you get outside, then you remember, oh, I left my phone. I got to go back and get my phone. I don't want to leave without my phone. Thank you, Krishna. That should remind you of that personality, your friend. Thank you, Krishna. He's like, I think nothing of it. I'm looking out. I got your back here, guy. You know, thanks for the water. Sun is beautiful today. What have you got up your sleeve? You're going to want me to do so. You gave me a nice day. You're going to want me to do some service probably. And I'm willing to do it. Like that. I was,
How do you differentiate between like a material personality and like someone's actual personality?
yeah. Material personalities change like styles and clothing. As you go through different stages of your life, your material personality changes. You know, because you want to keep up with those in your age group and your social whatever. You know, you get out of college, and while you're in college, you're really hip, groovy guy. You know, dress a certain way, act a certain way. Then you get a job. Well, none of that applies to you, the living entity. You're unchangeable. You see, you have a real personality, and that real personality is a lover of God and all of God's parts and parcels. It's the only thing that you're really good at, being a lover. The living entities, that's why we exist. There's no other. If you get away from that, then you're getting into illusion. You're trying to be something that you're just not cut out to be. But a supreme, a servant. I mean, when you really love somebody, you want to do things for them. So that is your nature. That is your eternal personality. And you know, like I say, as we change bodies, as we change positions within our life in this body, we've changed personalities so much. You know, it's like many years ago, I went to visit an old friend and somebody that I knew way back in the 60s. And so, you know how people, they do this a lot in America. I don't notice it in any other parts of the world. I don't think they do this. You know, they'll have pictures. There's like a credenza with a whole bunch of pictures through the years. So here's my friend in 1967. His flowers in his hair, long hair, Jesus beard, the whole thing, you know. Then you see a picture of him in the 70s. Well, his hair's cut off a little bit. He's looking a little different. Then the 80s come along. He's got the spiked hair, you know.
Mohawk.
Yeah, and then, you know, then in the 90s they did that mulligan, which is like having your hair out in the back but short. Mullet, yeah, a mullet. And so I'm looking at these pictures and thinking, this is a personality that's changed through the decades. Every decade has a whole different, and the styles on those bodies, they're all different. But at the time, they were really hip. You know, at the time that Jesus looked in the summer of love in 1967 with the flowers in your hair, you were really right on, man. You know, you were out of sight. Then you thought the same about yourself in the 80s when you had the, what did you call it? Mohawk. Yeah, like, you always thought you were cool. So then you get old, like moving cows on the way to the slaughter. You know, you're going, here's your personality. I don't know if I want that. Hey, you want to fend? Yeah. Well, then here's your personality. Well, okay, yeah, I can do that. Not only can I do it, but I'll do it really well. And then another decade comes and you've got to be somebody else. Whereas the living entity, the jiva, the jiva soul, we're unchangeable. Now, there is a personality that's eternal. And we don't know what that is, do we? Krishna knows. And he wants it back. He wants you to give up these temporary personalities. You know, stop trying to be something and someone that you're not, that you never were and you never can be. You are a lover of the Supreme. And it's the only thing that you can do. If you're not doing that, you're just making trouble for the other living entities by trying to exploit some of the resources. We see that going on right now. People that the more potency they get materially, the more they try to exploit. We've seen that in history, you see. But the devotee of Krishna, he wants none of that. We don't want any of that. I just want to be me. I have the ability, I'm empowered by the Supreme Source to wow the Supreme Source. I can wow the Supreme Source of love through his empowerment. Now, that's saying a lot. You see, if you can do that, then that ought to make you happy. You see, the living entity, we're here for the pleasure of the Supreme. Now, the materialist would say, well, what about my pleasure? But you get pleasure from giving pleasure. You see, from causing Krishna to smile gives you tremendous ecstasy. And his reaction is, well, now let me make you smile. So this is loving exchange, it's reciprocation. It's not a one-sided thing where we just worship and throw love out there, give him money. It's nothing like that. No, this is an eternal love affair, and it's reciprocal. And the thing about us is we're empowered with free will. We get to withhold it. That's a lot of power. We can choose not to love Krishna. That's what makes our love valuable to him. He won't force you. You see? So, all right. I've talked long enough.
Regina had a question.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay, so if he's the taste in water and he's the ability in man, and I can offer him water with love and devotion through my ability, then can you connect the dots there?
Yeah, Krishna doesn't need your water.
But he's grateful for it.
He's grateful for the love.
Yes.
That's all he wants. I mean, it's just a simple love affair. We all know the rules of love, at least we should. We should learn them by now, or soon we need to learn. Love means giving pleasure to your beloved, you see. So to have the desire to please your beloved, well, that's fabulous. So Krishna knows if you have the desire to please him, but you don't have any resources, what are you the source of? You're only the source of the desire. So then he empowers you with resources if you want to serve him. Well, you're going to need, like if you want to build him a marble temple, you're going to need a whole bunch of marble. He can handle that. You're going to need money. You're going to need this. Krishna will. But all he wants is for you to have the desire. He can taste that desire. That's all. All right, I need to wrap it up. I'm talking too long.